back. My name's Steve and thank you for joining me on my photography journey today. Today what I wanted to do was talk about my workflow and how I deal with the pictures that I've taken once I've been out and taken them. So the first thing that we need to do is go out and take some pictures and then come back in and show you what's going on. So what I'm going to do is take my Nikon Z5, which is my normal camera, it's the one that I'm using right now, and I'll take my 35mm f1.8 lens and just head to the woods for a little while, get a few pictures. I'm not going to get anything too exciting, I don't think, but we'll have some files to work with, and then I can show you what I do with those when I get back. In my camera I've got two SD cards, both of them are empty, so every picture I take I shoot in RAW and save to both card 1 and card 2, so that I've then got duplicates in case of any problem. Hopefully we won't have them, but I'll show you how I deal with that and what we do when I get back. So let's go and take some pictures. Now that we're back in front of the computer, I've got my SD card from the camera and I'm going to pop it into my computer and then go through what I would do after that. So here we go. As you can see, I've got the Nikon Z5 here, and that's from the SD card that I've just put into my computer. And this is my external hard drive on which I keep all of my images. So let's go down to Lightroom because I do everything in there. Click on that and then that comes up with Lightroom. So when I'm in the library view, which is G as a keyboard shortcut, if you go down to this menu and import, then that's where we bring our images from the SD card onto the computer. And then we can select our new images, which I've got here. So I know that we started off here. I can select that, highlight all of those, and then tick the box for all of those. So that's our images from the shoot that we did just now. And you've got the options of how to import them. So you've got different types of previews. So you've got the minimal, where it will keep a lower quality image, and then up to a 1:1, where you've got the highest possible quality kept locally as a preview. What I do is the minimal, but with also smart previews. The smart previews allow you to actually edit the images and make any changes that you want to before going on to export the picture and things, and you don't necessarily have to have the original copy of the photo in the same place. So that's how mine works on the external drive, is that I have the originals on there, and then on my actual laptop I just have a smart preview which I can then edit as needed and not have to worry about keeping the SSD attached to my computer all of the time. While you're importing, you can rename files, you can apply basic information to it. So in terms of developing, I've got a basic S-curve that I applied to my photos to begin with in order to give them kind of a starting point. I put my copyright on there, which actually I need to edit and change to 2023, and we can save that. So now we include our new copyright which says 2023, and then we can choose where we want to import the files to. And as I said, I use this external drive and it will automatically set them up into folders by year, followed by month, followed by day. So these are all coming in February. There we go. So we just click import and wait for these to come in. You can see the progress up at the top here, so it's copying them onto there and generating those previews that we've asked it to. So a few pictures, nothing too exciting, but then what we'll do is we'll just have a quick flick through and see if there's anything that I immediately want to delete. And actually these aren't too bad, they're all okay, so we'll have a look and see how we can edit them. So let's go back up to the top. So clicking on the first one, we press D on the computer in order to go into the develop module, which is where we do all of our changes, our editing. So I just liked this roof and I'm not such a fan of this tree in the middle of it though, so I don't think there's anything too exciting that I can do with this. I could always try and remove that tree, but it's a big part of the image, so I don't think that would look very good at all. So what I'll do is I'll press X on the keyboard and that will set it as rejected. So I'll then not do anything with this, I'll just delete it. And again, same thing with that one. This is a slightly better view. So what we can do is we can crop it slightly to remove these trees at the side. You've got a padlock here for locking the aspect ratio, so if I unlock that one I can then just slide this one in as I want it to, and also maybe get rid of some of that sky a little bit as well, and maybe in this side too, isolate that building a little bit more. And then what I tend to do is first go to auto, and then this is applying what Lightroom thinks is the best way to display your picture, and I don't like that particularly. It's a bit too dark, so I can increase the exposure. Or another way to do it is I've got presets of my own that I've made, which I can apply. So if you just hover your mouse over them, it will then show you what it looks like with those different presets applied. I quite like this kind of basic one, but then from there we can do other editing and get that picture looking exactly how we want it to. But for a first pass, that's okay. It's something that I will come back to and do a bit more editing on, but for the moment I'll just leave it there and see what else we've got. So I tend to go through first of all just to see if there's anything that stands out. Now this one could make a good portrait picture on Instagram, which for that it needs to be a 4:5 aspect ratio, and then we can adjust that. And again, this time I'm keeping the padlock locked in order to make sure that it keeps that same aspect ratio. So let's see what we can do here. Let's just get rid of that tree at the side, narrow it up a little bit more. There we go. So it's just this path. I press enter to get that, and then again we can look at our presets. This might look quite good black and white, or my slightly different presets that I've got on here. That's not too bad, but then from there we can adjust everything as we go and make it exactly how we want it to look. So I mean, I'm not going to do either of these to edit, so Command and Z on the Mac, Control and Z on a Windows keyboard, and that will get you back to where you were before. Again, I'm just going to carry on scrolling through these pictures. That's basically the same, so we'll reject that one as well. This one, as I said, this was my 35mm f1.8 lens, so what I like to do is get that nice blurred background, focus on one thing in particular, like for example this one leaf, and then we can see what difference that makes. Let's put this to a square and just have that little branch in the middle there. Again, not doing anything too exciting, just having a little play around. Let's go auto and see what it does. Again, it really brightens it up, probably more than I'd want it to, so let's bring that back a bit. And then what we can do, different masks allow you to select the background, the object, whichever you want really, and then just adjust that from there. So make that stand out, or just really blur out the background. But again, you don't have to have any of these. None of these edits actually are permanent changes to your pictures. So let's delete that mask, and then that will put it back to where it was beforehand. Let's keep looking through. And then again, this is more of looking at the details of the leaves and the trees. So these leaves are quite bright, so let's make them a bit less bright. Let's just focus a bit more on those. And then let's see if we've got my woodland one that brings out the oranges a bit, because if we scroll down here, you can see these color sliders, and those will allow you to increase or decrease the different colors within the image. And this is a saturation, so it's more or less saturated with them. But also right down at the bottom under calibration, you have got different red, green and blue primary sliders. So this will affect all of the red in every single pixel on the image. So you can change the saturation for that. You can see the difference that makes, and also what red actually is in this instance. So you can change the hue, so you can make it a lot more purple or a lot more yellow. And then the same is true for the green, make it more yellow, make it more green, and how saturated that is. So you can do that for all of these, and look at the moss changing color on there. We get some real differences there. But again, if you want to put things back to normal, just double click on the word and it will go back to its starting point, so 0 in most cases. And again, you've got different options up at the top of whether it's color or black and white. I don't really like the black and white because I like the contrasting colors here. But then you've got different options, so different color profiles that can be applied. You can see the difference between them. And just subtle changes to the colors that are being used. Okay, we can carry on. That one's a bit dark. I'm not a big fan of that. So we can scroll through these and see what's going on. So again, nothing too exciting. I quite like this one. Let's go auto to begin with. And then we can see the details in here. Let's go again. Let's imagine this is for Instagram. And I want to highlight that center bit there. So there we go. And because we made adjustments to the cropping, if we press auto, it will update it based on what's in that image at the moment. And as you can see, there is the nice contrast between the greens and things. So what I would now do is, if I wanted to put this onto Instagram, I would go to the file menu and go to export. And I actually have some presets built already, and I've got a portrait for Instagram setting. And that means it will come out at the highest quality I can get in the dimensions that are needed for portrait picture on Instagram, so that it will look as high quality as possible when I actually export it and upload it onto Instagram. And these are some of the other pictures that I've taken. And one thing that we can do with these ones is stitch these together as a panorama. So let's select these three. Right click on there and photo merge and panorama. Lightroom will generate a preview of this, and there we go, it stitches them all together without me having to do any work really. So you can choose a different kind of projection and see what it looks like. That cylindrical one was probably the best. And then if we merge, it will then merge all those pictures together and create a new one with all of them in a single image. There we go. So if we again click on that one and press D for the develop module, we can see that whole image all in one. Now, for example, I've got Ruby here. If I didn't want her to be in the image, what can we do? We can edit her out. So up here, we've got this plaster, band-aid. So click on that one, and that's our heal options. So if you hover your mouse over, you get a description of what it is. So content aware remove, that's what we want to do here. We want to remove Ruby, but we want to be aware of what she's in, the environment she is in, and what's behind her and things. So we just click and drag this over the top of her so that she's covered. Usually like to do a little bit of a border around. There we go. And then let go. Thinks about it, and then there we go. So let's click on the plaster again to get rid of that and zoom back out. And now you wouldn't know that Ruby was ever there. Poor thing. So if you really look, you can see slightly strange patterns in the leaves here, but other than that, you don't really know anything is different. And then again, we can just edit this picture as we would do normally. Let's try one of my presets. There we go, just brighten it up. We're not going for anything world class here, but there we go. So this is a panorama that's been created out of these images. It's still a raw file in this DNG format, so you can still do all the editing that you would want to do to it. It is just those 3 pictures all stuck together basically. And we press G to go back to our grid, and as you can see up here, it's a big aspect ratio, so it's 9,500 by 3,500, so that's the size of our image. So I hope that has helped introduce you to my process of I've been out, taken some pictures and come back and done a bit of editing, how I would bring it into my laptop and things, and I hope this helps with the basic process. In the future I'll go into a lot more detail on all of these different aspects, particularly the editing side of things. Thank you for joining me on my photography journey today. I hope you've learned something. If you have any questions, want to make any comments, leave them down below. And other than that, have a great week, and I'll see you next week. Bye.